So welcome to my review, first thoughts on Phantasy Star Online 2, New Genesis. This is one of my most anticipated games of the year, and it's taken me a little bit of time to get to it. I want to set some time just to focus on that, and I'm really happy that I did. I can tell you, even for a first thoughts video, the first 10 hours don't show you anything of the game. Even 20 hours don't show you anything of the game. It was when I got into the 30-hour plus mode that I was like, okay, I think I can come and talk about this game now. And it's a strange game. There's some things that are really excellent in it and some things that are very low in it. And we're going to talk about them all today. So to begin with, I started the game, I started to play the storyline, and you're kind of just thrown in with some characters, and you're running around the world, and I'm like, I don't like this. That's my first thoughts that I had. I'm like, I don't really like this. I don't like the characters, they're kind of generic, the shimmeriness of the graphics. I wasn't a huge fan of it. And then I started to do the tutorial, and I could start doing moves and start figuring out how to play the game. And so it got a bit better at that point, and I didn't mind it, but I was still like going, I don't know, man. I mean, this is like, so we have to explain as well. There's Phantasy Star Online 2, which is its own game. And this is its own game as well, but you can bring in your characters from Phantasy Star Online 2 into this game, but they're nerfed a bit, so they're not as powerful as they were in Phantasy Star Online 2. And so a lot of people are upset about that because they built up their characters to be like top tier characters. They bring them in here and they're not that anymore, because I think they want to start with an even playing field there for new players going into New Genesis. But you can bring all your aesthetics, all your character looks with you into the new game, and that's pretty cool, and that we'll get to in a bit as well. So I wasn't minding the game, playing the tutorial and stuff like that, and then I get to the central city, the central hub of everything, and I'm like, whoa, I kind of like this. And why I like it, it was reminding me of Phantasy Star, the original games. I'm like, this is cool. And it also was reminding me of the original Phantasy Star Online. I played all of the Phantasy Star Online games over the years, including Universe, which I've never really talked about. I think I'll talk about that one day as well. I spent hundreds of hours on that game. So I'm playing the game in Central City, running around, and then all of a sudden they kind of let me off the leash. And this is where all of a sudden I'm not playing with any friends or anything like that. I'm like, I'm gonna do this on my own. I'm gonna figure this out on my own. And so I start grinding enemies and going out into the world, and I'm like, I'm not really getting anywhere. And I'm trying to get my battle power points up, and I can't get those up, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So, okay, here's where I'm gonna give some advice for new players and some people who just want to jump in and do it the way I did, but do it better than I did. And some people give me advice afterwards, and this really helped out. First of all, get a map of the entire region, right? And where all the cocoons are. And they're kind of like a virtual reality simulator where you go and do those and you get skill points. And from there, from the skill points, you can level up your subclass and your main class, and those will raise up your battle power. That's very, very important to do. You're always wanting to raise your battle points so you can go and do more things. So think of that as the main focus of the game. So go around, unlock everything in the world, get a map that has everything shown to you, and then go off and do those things. That was very important. I was very lost for a while, and probably the first 5 hours of the game going, should I do this? Should I do that? The next thing, go and talk to all of the characters in the main central hub and go and do all of the quests, all of the missions. They will all raise up your character stats as well. Do the daily quests, do the weekly quests, do all of those. And at that point, things start to get a little bit better. You start to have a little bit of fun. Now, here is where we get into the main bit of the game that I want to talk about, where there's something that I really love in this game, and that is the open world environments. They are awesome. Running around, fighting monsters. I was like, this is the way it should be. And let me say, I liked Phantasy Star Online 2, but what I didn't enjoy was the very formulaic play style of it. It was very much like all of the other Phantasy Stars, to a fault, right? To a fault. We'd done it so much before, where you jump in a level, you fight lots of monsters, you get to a boss, you defeat it, you get your loot, and you leave. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Right? Obviously, it's all about, updating your character and all that. I get that for sure. But that formula was getting a little bit old even for me. So for me, this is a lot more fun, being able to go out into an open world. And even my wife came in and she's like, oh my God, this looks like Xenoblade Chronicles. And I'm like, yeah. And you can see that they're inspired by that style of game. And I'm going to say something else here. And this is going to sound crazy, but I was thinking this. Anthem, the game, is a failed game. It was not a good game. I played it quite a bit and I did not like it at all. This takes some of the ideas that I thought Anthem was going to do and does them. So I love it when you're hanging out with your friends, you go off to do a mission and you can all like float off cliffs and stuff like that and you all kind of float down. That feels awesome and you're kind of in this Avatar-esque world, but it's definitely Phantasy Star in that regard. That feels very, very satisfying, and it gives me that exploration excitement, combat that I was thinking I was going to get with Anthem and didn't. And it's a strange comparison to make, but it was one that I was thinking about while I was playing it. But I was blown away with the beautiful graphics, running around and doing all the different missions, and I started at this point to start to like the game. I started to like it. My problem with the game so far is there's not enough content. There's not enough to do. I've done basically all the missions. I can just do the dailies and the weeklies, but they're drying up fast. You got the urgent quests. That's what I'm working on now. That's the thing I'm doing. And fighting stronger bosses in the rain. Yes, that's a thing as well. So for me, I kind of hit the ceiling of what you can really do in this game. I'm just grinding my character to level 20. Level 20 is the max for the game. Here's another thing I want to say. At a point when I was not enjoying the game, when I was like, really, there's not really too much to this game, and there's not really much I can pick and choose and all that, and I didn't really like the look of my character and all that kind of stuff. Man, I'm really, really lucky to have good friends, and I have a good friend of mine, Chris Tang. I mentioned him on the channel before. He's the Sega World Champion from back in the day, Rock the Rock. He has invested over 6,000 plus hours into the game. He is a guru of the game in a way that I really needed and really helped me out. And so he helped me out with a good weapon and some good armor. And here's what I want to show. I just love this. This made the game for me. Phantasy Star 2. Remember that game? Do any of you remember Phantasy Star 2? The character Rolf in that game. Man, Chris hooked me up with this skin. And I can't tell you, it elevated the game. Finally, the game really felt like Phantasy Star to me. Because over the years, we've gotten further and further away from what Phantasy Star is and, was. And it's kind of like it's something different now. Yes, there's like Dark Falls in there. There's Meseta in there. There's Rappies in there from the third game. Those kind of things are still there, but we've moved a bit further away. Where using the skin as Rolf brought it all back to me. And then Chris also hooked me up with this amazing camo like sword that looked like something out of Dragon Quest, and it blew my mind. I was finally running around, and we were running around doing a bunch of quests and doing some of the tower missions and things like that. And I, at that point, was loving the game because my character finally looked how I wanted him to look, and it felt really, really good. And all of a sudden, I was really enjoying the game, and I am enjoying the game, but there's only so much content. And I really feel that they kind of rushed this game out a little bit. And I just want to say, some people have had a lot of crashes. I've had 2 crashes in 30 hours. That's not too bad for an online game, to be honest with you. I've been lucking out that way. But overall, the stability is there for me playing on the Xbox Series X. But there's just not enough content. They put it out. I would like to get more costumes, more things for New Genesis, and it's not really there. Yes, you can go back to Phantasy Star Online 2, and there's a robustness there. There's a community there. There's like so many outfits, so many weapons there, an economy that's still prosperous right now, because I went back to those servers and they were packed. Everybody's still there. and I think they want to draw everybody into New Genesis, but they just need more content in New Genesis. What's there is good, but they need more. They just need more missions. I'm just craving more, and let me be honest with you here. I can't complain. It's a free game. It's a free game. I spent like $13 to revive myself one time, a couple of times with Escape Doll. But other than that, it's a free game, and I got 30 hours out of it so far, and it's a lot of fun. It's all about hanging out with your friends. I said that for Phantasy Star Online 2. The game becomes fun when you have good friends and you can work together. And understand one thing: if you're a new player going in, it's okay to be a noob. It's okay to be a noob and to work your way up. And going into New Genesis, I was a noob again. I played all the rest of the games, but this was a new idea of how it plays. And one more thing that I thought was a lot of fun, I was trying to enter some commands in, and some of them weren't working. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just bring a keyboard into this. And because Dragon Quest X is never coming over here, it's never coming over to the West at all. They've made that apparent now. I had bought, me and Kim, a couple of these keyboards, like, oh my god, maybe it was 10 years ago or something like that. I finally cracked it for Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, and that is my slime keyboard. Yes, I was playing with this in the other room, and I was like, finally, we have a use for this, and I'm so thrilled to get this. This is originally for Dragon Quest X Online. It's got a place now with Phantasy Star New Genesis, which is great. So, what do you guys think of New Genesis so far? I think it's worth jumping in. I think there's some hurdles for new players. Like, I even thought that for Phantasy Star Online 2, like, Sega put in so many hurdles for new players. So you show up and you're like, what am I doing? Where do I go? What am I working on? And I will say in this game, they do a little bit better in the tutorial of showing you how to upgrade your things, how to combine certain weapons, how to add attributes to them, and that's the core mechanics of the game when you get right to it. So it's very, very, it's a lot better, and I prefer, I'm going to say this, even as limited as it is, I prefer New Genesis to Phantasy Star Online 2. And the only reason why I do is Phantasy Star Online 2 is an 8-year-old game. It's an older game now. It's a fun game, it's a cool game, there's a lot in it, but it's an older game. And New Genesis is showing you where they're going to go. And so I finished the entire story mission, and it ends in a cliffhanger. And I'm dying for the next region to be added and more stuff to be added into this region. To be honest with you, I even feel let's not get to the new region yet. Let's fix what we have and make things a little bit more balanced, because sometimes with certain players and certain things, it's not in your best interest to be playing with characters that are higher level. You won't get as much experience and stuff like that. See, these things, it kind of ruins the idea of playing with other people at times. So Sega needs to work on the balance of this game big time as well. But I'm having a bit of fun for sure, and I mean, I want to thank Chris Tang again for hanging out with me and hooking me up with some good gear. I mean, that's what makes this game fun, is getting some good gear and playing with your friends and going exploring the world. It's a lot of fun. So anyways, guys, until next time.